Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. A dead man walking. The Saudis already admitted Jamal Khashoggi was killed in the consulate, so who's this guy leaving the building on the same day? A dance floor filler becomes a dance floor breaker. We'll show you video of a party fail. Shocking moment, an old man racially abuses an old woman on a flight. And check out this creep from the deep. It's Monday's Animals Doing Stuff. Now, top of our news feed, what happened at the Saudi consulate? The plot has thickened to the point where you'd probably walk out if this was a movie, but it's not. It's a real-life geopolitical mess, and after more than 2 weeks of attempts by the Saudis to explain Jamal Khashoggi's disappearance, they finally admitted that he died inside the building. And now this. Footage showing someone dressed as Jamal Khashoggi, not similarly dressed, but literally in his clothes with a fake beard and glasses, leaving the consulate and wandering the sights of Istanbul. You can see why people online have had a hard time believing anything that's coming from Riyadh.
I do. I mean, it's early. We haven't finished our review.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other things that have been catching our eye on social media. Well, this was the moment the floor collapsed at a frat party at Clemson University in South Carolina. Now, 30 people were hurt. And because we're talking about millennials who are partying, here's one of my favorite comments from someone who was there. They said that people are hurt, people are bleeding. I had blood on my sneakers. Not the sneakers. Oh, and in case you were wondering, the song they were dancing to is Chief Keef's Vanetto, which sucks. The actor Selma Blair has shared on Instagram that she has recently been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She wrote, "I am disabled, I fall sometimes, I drop things, my memory is foggy. My left side is asking for directions from a broken GPS." She then goes on in the post to thank the producers of her new Netflix show for being so understanding.
Okay, so we've just landed in Brizzy. We've just seen a guy who's hitchhiking to Byron Bay. That's where we're going, isn't it, Chris?
Byron, we'll give him a lift.
Little does he know that we're getting a chopper.
And this is video from the Instagram of the actor Chris Hemsworth, and it has done more than 1 million views. It shows Thor and his mate there picking up a hitchhiker and taking them by helicopter, no less, to Byron Bay. But it turns out that hitchhiker was an American musician. What do you know? And because everyone involved is handsome, lots of people have watched the video. Good for them.
All right, Scotty, dream's over. Back to the normal hitchhiking.
Now, Ryanair, the low-cost, no-frills airlines, is having a very bad time of it. Another story is broken involving the company, and it is spreading across social media. And this one involves racism.
talk to me in a foreign language. They don't speak how. Alright, we'll carry on.
Just stop. It's really easy. It's not enough.
Now, the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has said sorry to the victims of child sex abuse. The apology from government is, of course, symbolic, but it serves as a moment where Australian institutions said, we failed in the past, but we will be better in the future. Here's Melinda.
For decades, Australian victims of child sex abuse were shunned and silenced. But on Monday, they heard the words they've been waiting so long to hear.
Today, the Australian Government and this Parliament, on behalf of all Australians, unreservedly apologises to the victims and survivors of institutional child sexual abuse.
During a historic and emotional speech in federal Parliament, Prime Minister Scott Morrison made a national apology to those sexually abused as children in institutional care. Abuse that took place in churches, schools, government foster homes, sporting clubs and other organisations.
As one survivor recently said to me, it wasn't a foreign enemy who did this to us. This was done by Australians to Australians.
A national apology from the federal government was one of more than 400 recommendations proposed by the Royal Commission. Between 2013 and 2017, almost 17,000 people contacted the Commission to report child sexual abuse. Almost 8,000 victims gave personal testimony, and the Commission received more than 1,300 written statements. So far, more than 2,500 cases have been referred to Australian police. More than 1,000 survivors and support organisations were invited to Parliament House to hear the apology. Thousands more watched it broadcast live on television.
The apology itself was very inclusive and it was a heartfelt response, and I think victims, just speaking for myself, I got a lot out of it.
Of all the abuse reported, the Commission found almost 60% took place in religious institutions, most within the Catholic Church. But the National Day of Healing wasn't without pain. Many survivors say the government hasn't done enough.
The time will tell, and we will be watching, because this is something that should never have happened and should never allow to happen again.
Some even heckled the Prime Minister, angry that lawmakers reduced the amount of financial support victims are able to access.
I understand the anger.
An apology, they say, is little comfort after everything they've suffered.
All right, around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Monday. As many as 2,000 migrants are pushing their way north through Mexico, headed for the United States. The majority of them are from Honduras, and they say they're fleeing violence and poverty. But they will get a hostile reception if they reach the United States. President Trump has made denying people access to the US a central part of his presidency. In Australia, the Oscar-winning actor Geoffrey Rush went to court today as part of his defamation case against Rupert Murdoch's owned newspaper, The Daily Telegraph. He's suing them about a front-page story that had allegations of inappropriate behaviour by Rush towards a female co-star in the theatre back in 2015. Now, Rush says the report made him out to be a criminal and badly damaged his reputation. A glimpse of someone's idea of progress here. Driverless flying taxis will be trialled in Singapore at the end of next year. They're basically big drones and will be controlled by remote from the ground. There is increasing competition in this airspace, but some obvious safety issues will have to be overcome if they're to get off the ground. A lioness killed a lion at a zoo in the United States, and it's been reported around the world. The lioness had mated with the lion previously, and he had fathered 3 of her cubs. Zoo staff say they are baffled by the behaviour. And this is the world's longest sea bridge connecting Hong Kong and Macau to mainland China. It's 22 kilometres long and will take an estimated 29,000 vehicles and 126,000 people each day when it's officially opened tomorrow. It's taken 9 years to build and cost about $20 billion. Now, the Indonesian island of Sumatra is home to one of the world's rarest species of great apes. The Tapanuli orangutan was only properly identified as a subset last year, and now they're facing extinction, all because of a $1 billion hydroelectric dam. Have a look.
Lalu jalan yang dibangun akan mengisolasi habitat orangutan sehingga mereka tidak bisa saling bertegur sapa gitu Mas ya. Kalau bahasa gaulnya tidak bisa saling bersilang begitu, dan akhirnya mereka akan menikah satu darah dan itu akan mempercepat kepunahan. Jadi klaim mereka tidak membuka lahan luas itu sebenarnya mereka tutup-tutupi.
Listrik di Sumatera Utara sudah surplus 15%, sehingga kita tidak bisa membenarkan adanya penambahan pembangkit, terutama PLTA Batang Toru, jika itu berakibat buruk pada lingkungan hidup dan masyarakat sekitar.
And for Monday, we have a bizarre but slightly educational animals doing stuff. Now, what you're about to see is being called the headless chicken monster on social media. And when I first heard that, I thought it was unfair. But when you realise that the space where the head should be is actually taken up by dozens of tentacles, I was like, yeah, it's definitely a monster. It's really a rare sea cucumber called Epneatis eximia, if you want its proper title, but headless chicken monster works for us. And that is all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.